Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett here. Oh, I'm not plugged in. I just saw that. Let me see if I can figure out where my power cord is. There you are. So yesterday, a couple interesting things came up. I really, like, my whole day yesterday was just like one mind-blowing sort of realization after the other. It's kind of funny how that all kind of happens all at one time, because there was a bunch of stuff at work. One thing I learned is that, like, we have a fairly complex application that is pretty difficult to set up locally, and it uses dozens of technologies, and they all have to be just right. And the thing that keeps coming up over and over again is like, okay, why can't we come up with just a really good way to, like, a set of installation steps? Like, why? And we tried and tried and tried over and over and over again. We've tried to set up things and all that, but, like, we can never come up with a good set of installation project steps. And it kind of hit me yesterday why that is. I said the words to somebody, one of the people who said it to me. I was like, well, because the world is changing. Like, the set of steps that is required to set this up today are not the set of steps that are going to be required to set it up in 3 months. And they were not the set of steps that was required to set it up 3 months ago. There's new versions of Node coming out. There's new versions of Microsoft SQL coming out. There's new versions of Visual Studio coming out, Visual Studio Code, NPM, Angular. All of our technologies we have this Tower of Babel of technologies, and the way that things work are subtly different every day that goes by. And then some of those things, even if you do a wrong step on, let's say there's 5,000 steps. If you do the wrong step on step 1,000, it doesn't break. It doesn't present itself as a problem until step 4,000. And so trying to keep all that straight is just impossible, and it will change. So that was like sort of something I've been sort of understanding for a couple years now, but hadn't really been able to put it into words until yesterday. It was kind of the first time that it just really all came together to me, because, like, now whenever you install an older version of Angular, there's a flag that you have to put on the npm install. So you have to be like npm install space dash dash something about parallel or something like that. Wasn't like that, and now it is. Just things change, all the time. If you watch my videos on voice API, that is we have seen things change, like, from week to week. The way things work, and the way, even though the API itself hasn't really changed, it's still like the underlying pieces that feed it change constantly. And then the way it acts on different languages changes. And it's just all kinds of flavors. But here, there was two kind of things that kind of came up. One was kind of what I was talking about at the end of yesterday's video, which was I need to get a instance of the component now, and then sort of act on that instance. Now, what's interesting about that is that you normally don't need to have any kind of component interaction in a service, right? So in under normal conditions, I think that would be a smell, right? Like, you'd be like, something's not right about this. Why do I need to interact with the component in this service? Like, there's something that should be mocked or something like that. But in this specific case, I don't think that is a problem. And maybe it is, but right now I don't think it is a problem, because it actually uses the component. Its job is to manipulate the component itself. So it makes sense that it would need an instance of the component. But that is very rarely the case, right? Like, I probably have a dozen services, and that is only in one of them. And I've probably done 1,000 services in the last 4 months, and this is the only one that's ever had that. This is a unique thing, a component, a service that manipulates a component directly. And the only reason that it does that is because the only reason it makes sense to have that in a service is because it each individual component doesn't know enough about itself. So you need something that's above the component to manipulate it. And then like I don't necessarily want the components to always be in one parent larger component. Maybe there might be multiple parent larger components. So I don't want to put that logic inside of like the parent component, which would probably be the natural place for it to go, but it doesn't make sense. So that was one big thing. But the other big thing was much more fundamental, and that's that. So most places I've ever worked kind of go on one of two extremes. Either they never make anything in a service private, or they make everything, pretty much everything, private. Which, if they make everything private, then it tends to make it extremely difficult to unit test. At least not in a hacky way. You kind of have to hack it, and who knows if how long that hack will be acceptable. So I tend to err on the side of not marking things private, and mostly because I've never ever seen not marking something private ever have a bad outcome. But I did see that in a unit test I had directly called reset hash from another function, from another, directly via another service. And I think that might be problematic, because if I ever want to make any changes, I'm going to end up breaking that unit test, which, is not that big of a deal breaking a unit test, but and unit tests, when they break, a lot of times it's pretty easy to figure out what happened. But if I did that in other components and in other things, it would probably be very difficult to sort of make reasons, and I might do it in such a way that would make it being able to do maintenance and make simple basic changes that need to be made to reset hash not possible. So I do think that reset hash, yesterday I was like, I want to see what happens, but today I think I want to make this private. So when I make that private, I don't know if anything's going to break anywhere. And maybe I've already gone too far. Maybe I have done something that makes this not feasible. So it didn't seem to affect anything. And I don't know why, but it didn't feel like that reloaded. What if I put a question mark here? Okay, so now it's reloaded and everything is happy. So I think that was probably a good decision to make that private. But now I don't think I could call it directly from another, with an instance of another session, because I had another session. So anyways, so that is good. Now, I think the only time you should ever make something private like this is if the only place it should ever be called is from within itself. So, and I think that would make it possible, but whatever is calling it should be easy to unit test. If you have to give it some kind of crazy thing so that it can unit test, so that you can unit test reset hash, then you might want to take a closer look at your code. Now, is too wide. Let's see how we use is too wide. Maybe that one should be private too. So it looks like that's maybe, let's say, is too wide. Yep, so it looks like the only place I use it is in here. So I think I would want to unit test this thing through this thing. I don't know. Let's do it. Let's just do it and then see as we move through our whole unit test process if it ends up being a problem. Okay, so that is good. Now, let's go back to our unit tests. I think I only have one thing that I'm unit testing. So I'm going to type in fit. Yep. This is the only thing. Oh, see, so I cannot call this anyway. See, oh, okay, so it broke in my unit tests. Let's see, I can't reset the hash unless I call it directly. But I need, and reset hash right now gets called. So it did end up breaking my unit tests. So reset hash gets called when I do calculate position. No, when I do create visualization. So I need to create a visualization to be able to reset the hash. I cannot call it directly anymore. So we kind of learn this sort of a good way, right? We kind of set it up, and then we're like, yeah, that should be private. And now we're like, oh crap, I need to be able to unit test create visualization if I want to be able to reset the hash. And the thing is our animation service, we're trying to test something in our animation service, not we're trying to test. Basically what we want to do is we wanted to get better coverage on this visualization layout, but we can't get better coverage on it unless these hash values are different, and we can't get those hash values changed without executing the create in the animation service, because and the reason we can't do that is because that's the only thing that will trigger a change in the hash. So that is like very good insight into the way the application works. And maybe it's like something we don't want to do, or maybe it sort of indicates is sort of a good indicator that maybe we should be mocking the animation service and not actually trying to use it as part of our visualization unit tests. I don't know. This is really like, these are thoughts that I don't think we ever could have even gotten to without building out this sort of enterprisey feeling application that's a lot more complicated than it needs to be. But and that's kind of like one of the major points of doing all this, is to try to run into these problems in a situation where we're not under massive pressure. So anyways, I need to get an instance of I need to create a in order to do this, I need to, let's go back over here. We need to go in here into the we need to create a visualization. And in order to create a visualization, we need a renderer ID and a component. We can't do anything without a renderer ID or a component. So we need to get a renderer ID. And to get a renderer ID is really simple. I believe all we have to do is, probably do it in here. Nope. So we know I believe in the app component spec I do it. Do it. Nope. Let's see what services. Let's just check out this spec. See if I get. Gosh darn it! Where did I do all that stuff? Viz component spec. Man, there is some place where I created a bunch of render IDs, and I remember looking at it yesterday. Let's look in here. Oh, wrong one. We are just opening. This is the one I'm looking at. See, we can get a renderer ID this way. So let's see how that works. So I want to go to my visualization service spec. Nope. We want to go to my animation service spec. I guess. Okay, for the moment, I'm going to undo making that private. I definitely want to come back to it, I hope, but for the moment I want to undo that just because I just don't want to. I want to focus on this thing. Okay, so we cannot do this without. We cannot do this in a sane way without using that. So we do not have. The problem is that this. Okay, so this is where we get our. Oh my gosh, I have cap locks on. I'm almost out of time. I'm at 8:52, so I'm gonna have to stop it here, but and put a comment for myself for tomorrow. ID and console.log. Next, get a component so we can call. What was the name of the thing we want to call? And I don't know if this is the best way to do this. I am enjoying the fact that so we can call it create visualization, and then I think it's from the visualization. Individual. Love you too. Vision service. Alright, so let's see where we're at. Let's go back to here. npm run test. It's got 7 minutes. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. I swear we have some strange spelling situations here in the US. Like, it's weird to me that Wednesday is Wednesday, but Thursday doesn't have an E between, like THRURSDAY. It seems like it should be THURESDAY. Do you get it? I get it. I get it too. So what we're looking for, I think, mostly is that console log. World, hello, start. Is that? Oh. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the fit. And I'm going to take the fit off of this one. I don't know if it will rerun. Looks like it's rerunning. So what I want to see is ID. Okay, so ID 5, get the next component. Okay, so we did get an ID from this get base renderer. So next we need to get an instance of a component, which I don't know exactly how to do, but we want to get an instance of this visualization. Where is it in components? This viz component. We want to get an instance of that. And then we want to pass that instance into the create visualization service. And once we get that, and so and I don't know exactly how that's going to work. Like I said yesterday, this is like one of those things where I know the endpoint, I know the far point, and now we've kind of starting to take a step down in that direction. But I don't know all the twists and turns that come from making a component. And I think in this situation, it really is not the destination. It is the path. The experience of figuring this out is going to, I think, be a very enlightening experience. Anyways, it is 8:56, so I have to start working 4 minutes, 4 minutes. Happy coding, everybody. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.